That was a solo on Blue Bossa, a tune by Kenny Dorham. In this video, I'm going to talk about 2/5 and 5/1 progressions, and of course putting that all together with 2/5/1 progressions. This tune gives us an opportunity to practice both in minor and major. So we have a 2/5/1 in C minor, and then a 2/5/1 in D flat major. So after you watch this video, be sure to practice this tune and maybe put it in some different keys, maybe all different keys, and you'll have a lot going for repertoire within jazz tunes. Before I go on, please like and subscribe and check out my website, Fretprints.com. So the 2 chord in the 2/5 progression is what's called a predominant, and it sets up the dominant 7. So when we get into this tune, we have the D minor 7 flat 5, and then that goes to a G7. So in a minor key, like C minor here, the 2 chord generally is going to have the flat 5. Oftentimes that works in conjunction with the flat 9 on a G7, so G7 flat 9. But there are some exceptions to this. The majority of the time, this is what you'll find in minor. The dominant 7th is where we're really getting a good amount of tension going, because if we go from this D minor 7 flat 5, we have this interval here, which is fairly stable, and then that goes down to this interval, which is unstable. So we have the diminished 5th, or also known as the tritone. And in minor, that oftentimes resolves over to a C minor 7 or a C minor 6. Like in the solo up front, I'm working with some voice leading things to outline some of those 3 and 7 movements as we go through. We might have something like the 7th of the D minor 7 flat 5 might go into the 3rd of the G7, and then the 7 of that will tend to fall to the 3rd of the C minor. So you can use some voice leading, simply play arpeggios, but if you're working in a note collection or a key signature, it's good to get a little bit specific with the chords so that you're hearing the tensions and resolutions through the progression. The 5 chord in minor oftentimes has this sound as well, the flat 13, which can fall to the 9 of the C minor. And you can do this comping or with a single line melody. So another tone that's commonly used on the 5 chord in minor is the sharp 9. And you can also use that in combination with that flat 9 that we talked about earlier. And those tend to fall to the 5th of the C minor. As far as scales go, the place to start with, if you haven't done a lot of this already, is with the C harmonic minor scale, simply applied to the 2 and the 5 chord. And if you struggle to transition back to the key of 3 flats with C minor, simply stay with that C harmonic minor, although this note will tend to clash a little bit with the chord, but just push up to the root if that's the case. Let your ear guide you on it. If you're more advanced or have been using that already for a while, you might mix it up with various options. So, for example, on the D minor 7, perhaps just stay in the key of 3 flats. When you get to the G7, maybe make that change, or use some other types of scales. To create a little extra tension going to the 1 chord. You can also start substituting changes. But doing it in a melodic way. Substituting or superimposing. So try working on these in segments, just working on one change, which is just 2 chords. Going back and forth, like I just did, choosing 4 notes on each chord, and then go to the 5 of the 1, do the same thing. If you can do this in at least 2 positions, you'll be able to play effectively on the 2-5 in minor. So we would have this area here, position 3 in this key, and then a 2-5 in this key. C minor again, but in this position. But if you want to be able to phrase freely throughout the neck, then you would want to work these out in the other 3 basic fingerings as well for a total of 5. Okay, let's talk about major. So this tune moves to major, D flat major. So we have E flat minor 7 going to A flat 7, going to D flat major 7. Major tends to be a lot more straightforward, but there's still a lot of room to stretch out and make changes. Key of 5 flats here, all the chords technically fit right into that without any issue. So we could play arpeggios on E flat 7, for example. Go to the A flat 7. Everything's right in key, and then to the 1, D flat major. So then we want to just be selective and aware of what the consonances and dissonances are doing as the progression moves. So notice on the minor, we have a natural 5th. The same voice leading concepts I talked about earlier still apply here. So we have the flat 7 of the E flat minor tend to fall to the 3rd of the A flat 7. Flat 7 of that will tend to fall to the 3rd of D flat major. So you can play around with that. Now the similar kind of thing happens right on the 2, 5. Like I said earlier, really no real need for changing the scales and things up, but as you get to play through enough 2/5s over time and 5/1s, you may find that you want a bit of variety. So we can use those same scales on the dominant that we used on the minor version, right? And maybe another one that you might want to consider. One that gives us the flat 9, but everything else is just the same. So you would play on E flat minor and then do a flat 9. Flat 9s tend to resolve to the 5 of the next chord. Here's an opportunity to play natural 13 and the flat 9 and resolve to D flat major 7. But of course, alter scale and others will work as well. And of course, you can substitute or superimpose other chord changes to move around, and you can actually mix things up as well. So you might be playing E flat minor, A minor, A flat 7, D7, and then resolving. As you get more familiar with these, you may also want to resolve to changes early, or maybe even resolve to changes late. So in some cases, or some phrases in the solo that I played up front, I'm delaying a little bit of the resolution, and that creates a little tension, creates a little bit of drama in the lines, you might say. So I'll mention one more thing that you can do to practice and maybe play on these. But before I do, please leave a comment down in the description. Let me know what techniques I might have missed that you use. Love to hear about that. And also let me know if this has helped you out at all. Try these out while playing with iReal Pro, Band in a Box, your next jam session or gig, and let me know how it's working. Another simple and effective thing that you can do on these is to work with pentatonic type scales. We could have, let's say on this 2/5 in D flat major, we could have a E flat minor pentatonic, then change that up to the minor 6 pentatonic. That helps to outline the change from the 2 to the 5. Back to the minor, we can do the same thing, adapted to accommodate the flat 5. So it's like a D minor pentatonic, but we've lowered the 5th. And then it's like the minor 6 pentatonic, but with the flat 5 as well. All right, folks, I hope this gives you a lot to work with. I hope you're inspired on this. I have sound slice exercises on my website, Fretprints.com, and I plan to create some more and backing tracks on that tune, as well as many others. So be sure to check out Fretprints.com and sign up for a free trial. All right, folks, enjoy your practice session, and I'll see you all in the next one.